What's up everybody, Quantum back here again, finally getting around to analyzing Friede's great Scythe. I've been putting it off for a while and I do apologize, as I know many of you have requested for me to review this weapon in PvP, especially my boy Tiki. Before we actually jump in and look at the weapon though, I just want to mention two quick things. The first is that the build that we used in this video, the link will be in the description. Basically though, we have 55 intelligence and then 35 dex, HP, and endurance. The actual full analysis and the reasons behind everything will be in the description, and I will be updating that with the new build very shortly. So stay tuned for that if you want to see it. But this build was pretty effective, and the reason that I took this into the arena was because it's probably the best testing ground for most weapons, as people in the arena tend to be a little bit better than in the Pontiff area nowadays. And secondly, the mage character was the only one that I haven't actually played in the arena yet. It's the only character that I didn't get gold rank in the 1v1 duels. That is until today. We won 38-ish matches, I think, and we only lost 5, 2 of them being parries. 2 of them we just made stupid mistakes and deserved to lose, and then one of them was kind of like a laggy match. It was kind of weird, but it happens, right? There's a few matches that I've included in this video and in the second part that will be coming where I definitely somehow got some laggy backstabs and whatnot, but stay tuned, see if you can fish them out. Now, that being said, the final thing I want to note is the editing style for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer this style of editing. I've kind of cut out all of that neutral game, I guess you can call it, where there's just me and my opponent spacing each other out, waiting to attack and whatnot. And I've basically just gone for the action clips. While I'm not really a super big fan of this style of editing, and I see a lot of YouTubers doing it, I do understand that it is more entertaining for you guys, but it also cuts out some of the important aspects of the game. You guys know, if you watch my PvP videos, I talk a lot about how important spacing is, making sure you make the right decisions, when to go in for baits, how to play the neutral game, etc, etc. I will still include some of it, but just let me know what you think. If you prefer this method, I can definitely work with that and try to explain it the best I can if I'm not showing it. And I definitely understand it's probably more entertaining for you guys to actually see the combos and the actual moves of the weapon playing out in real time. So let me know in the comments below. But anyways, on to the reason why you're here, right? The actual analysis of Friede's great Scythe. I was very pleasantly surprised with how this weapon operated. I generally haven't been a big fan of Scythes, never really liked them. They're definitely a cool weapon, great to use, just to look cool and whatnot, but in terms of practicality for PvP, maybe not the best use in that situation. But the Friede's great Scythe, I was really taken aback by its ability and its similarities of kind of relating to the ringed knight paired ultra great swords, you know, that mouthful of a weapon. And you may be thinking, what are you talking about? That is an ultra weapon with a totally different moveset, totally different class of weapon. How on earth is this weapon like that? Well, it is for several reasons. The first is, as you just saw in that little clip where I zoomed in, and where I do it several other times throughout this video, the combo damage. You do a massive amount of combo damage if you do the L2 into the 2 R1s. The third sequential R1 doesn't combo, but it's still a great move to whip out to kind of keep your opponent back away from you. The second thing is the incredible degree of coverage that this weapon has. Here you can see when this guy actually came in on me, he rolled away from his activation of that hex that explodes. I was ready for that. I was ready. I was like, okay, this guy's going to roll when that thing explodes. I'm going to be ready to punish that roll and massively combo him out for incredible amounts of damage. And what's nice about this weapon is that when you do that combo, the L2 into the R1, there is an incredible degree of 360-degree coverage around you. I've slowed down a few clips where it seems like after we've swung the Scythe, there's like this little trail of frost that kind of follows up behind the Scythe. It seems like that little trail of frost has a hitbox of its own, and if an opponent approaches you or gets in the way of that trail of frost after you've swung the weapon, they will get hit. There's been a few times throughout this video where that trail of frost actually stopped somebody from coming in to punish us from an attack, actually killed off opponents in the very first clip. It's actually quite remarkable at the degree of safety, I guess you can say, that you have using this weapon when using the weapon art, and it kind of makes it almost seem unpunishable, but that's definitely one of the weaknesses, is that you can sometimes think you're invincible with this weapon, and you're definitely not, because if your opponent is using a really fast weapon like a katana running R1, you don't want to be caught being baited out and then out comboed. Now, that being said, this weapon, if you can use it intelligently, can definitely play to your advantage. As you saw here, this weapon is actually really good at contesting against small and medium-sized weapons, and because that combo damage is so great, if you actually fish out a trade and can complete your combo, you'll likely need something with heavy armor so that you have some poise and you won't get hit out of your attack. But you will definitely out-combo your opponent. As you saw in that previous matchup with that glaive, even though the glaive attack came out on that second hit, we ended up way more ahead in terms of life from our combo versus his one hit on the trade. And like I've discussed many times before, combo damage, if you can actually land your combo on a trade, that's where you'll come out on top. That's a win-win for you. Yes, you'll take a hit, but at the same time, you're going to come out on top from the trade. You're going to be in a more advantageous position with that life lead. You can take a little bit more risk, and you can play a little bit more aggressive, keeping your opponent on the front foot. So this weapon definitely has the ability, just like the ring-paired Ultra Greatswords, to do massive combo damage, have a great degree of coverage all around you, and just out-trade your opponents. Now that being said, because the combos are quite long, it is still susceptible to a few things like Perseverance. If an opponent sees you jumping in with that weapon art, and just a quick side note, there you see him activate that lightning miracle, but we just combo straight through it. But anyways, if you see your opponent activating Perseverance as you start up your L2 into R1 weapon art, because the combo is so long and the animation is very long, yes, the Perseverance skill will obviously win out against the combo, and you'll likely be hit out of your attack and take more damage. So you got to be very careful when facing up against Perseverance. When you think about it, Perseverance is becoming quite a powerful weapon art nowadays, huh? But one final thing I want to note in terms of how this weapon relates to the Ring Knight Ultra Greatswords is the fact that there's actually a lot of forward momentum with the weapon art, the L2 into R1. As you can see, when it's activated, you actually jump in a little bit towards your opponent, and it's really good at quickly closing down space, keep catching your opponent off guard in some cases, baiting your opponent into attacking and then jumping in with that weapon art can definitely out-combo your opponent and get some free hits in at times. And just the range of the weapon itself, because it's a Scythe, it's a pole weapon, it has a decent amount of range. Like I said, in theory, this weapon has a lot of really good things going for it. And like I said, for most small and medium-sized weapons, you should be able to out-combo and out-damage those weapons and just have free reign over those matchups. Now, when it comes to ultra weapons on the offense, you definitely want to play more reactive. As you can see in the first clip, in this clip right here, we're not necessarily attacking right away. We're waiting for the opponent to whip out his attacks, and then we're playing a little bit more reactive in order to punish the attacks. And it works out quite well. This weapon is very good at roll catching, and as you can see there, doing that follow-up third L2 into R1 sequence sometimes does catch rollbacks, even though it doesn't necessarily combo with a true combo. It's still good because, again, the weapon is safe because it has so much incredible range and degree of coverage. You're likely not going to be punished. Unless, of course, your opponent baited you out and then they're going to follow up with like a running R1 from a katana. That's where this weapon's false sense of security, because it seems so powerful, could come back to bite you in the ass. So be very, very careful of that. Now, enough about the offense. How about on defense? Yes, there are going to be some times where you're facing up against really good opponents who know how to bait your attacks out, and your offense may not be the most effective. In that case, you might have to switch up your playstyle to a defensive playstyle, maybe bait out your opponent, play that more reactive role, which again is another strength of this weapon because it definitely has some of the tools to do that as well. Now, what I'm talking about mainly is its ability to actually control the space in front of it through its second weapon art, and that is the L2 into R2, that thing where you swipe the ground and a giant crystal bed comes up in front of you. I don't know what to call it. But basically, that crystal thing that comes up and then it explodes after a few seconds. Yeah, that thing is actually really good on defense. And if you've been paying attention to some of the matches where we haven't been the aggressor, we've actually been using that as a way to kind of keep opponents in check, to say, hey, if you want to try to run in and be the aggressor on me, I'm going to have this blanket in front of me that's, if you try to attack through it, it's going to blow up. I'm going to get a free knockdown, and then I can follow up with, whatever I want. There you can see an example of it where this guy was trying to rush me down. We whipped it out. He was stuck in the field. He tried to roll away, but the incredible hitbox range of that explosion caught him, and he ended up dying. Now, of course, if they actually do get flung up in the air and they land, and you get the knockdown, you can also go up right to their body, follow up with an L2 into R1 combo, and force them to roll, and maybe make a mistake. You might catch a roll or something and get some nice extra damage. This clip right here is, I believe, the final clip, but not too sure what happened there. That's my laggy win where I really shouldn't have won maybe, or got that specific backstab. But nonetheless, it happened to us kind of a few times, so I'm not complaining, right? That's the way the game goes sometimes. Now, just before we wrap things up, as I was mentioning with the defensive playstyle, you do want to couple that L2, R2 ice blanket that lands in front of you with the ability to follow up with the L2, R1. So if an opponent is trying to sidestep that blanket, maybe come around the side of you, you're ready prepped with the L2, R1. So if they do think they can punish you or come in with their own attack, you bait them out, you bring them in, and then you combo them or contest their aggression with your own weapon art. And again, because they're using a small weapon, if they're being an aggressor usually, you're going to out-combo them. So that's my analysis of the weapon, guys. There is a part 2 coming showcasing the rest of the matches, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and check out the channel for more Dark Souls content if you haven't already, and please drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. More Dark Souls to come. That is it for now, though, guys. Quantum is out.